What warms incoming air? Mucous membrane in the nose. What traps particulate matter in the air? Mucus. What prevents infection? Cilia. What moistens air? Mucous membrane in the nose. What moves nasal secretions to pharynx? Cilia. What are the results of cigarette smoking? Paralysis of respiratory cilia, production of increased amounts of mucus, easier access to respiratory tissue by pathogenic organisms, and loss of elasticity in the walls of respiratory passages. What is the pitch of the voice controlled by? Changing the tension of the vocal cords. What is the type of epithelium found in the alveoli? Simple squamous. The blank lung is composed of superior, inferior, and middle lobes. Right. The serous membrane covering the lungs is the blank. Visceral pleura. The serous membrane covering the inner wall of the thoracic cavity is the blank. Parietal pleura. Inspiration occurs after the diaphragm blank, thus the size of the thorax and the pressure within the thorax contracts, increasing, decreasing. Coughing, laughing, and yawning are examples of blank, non-respiratory air movements. Normal breathing is controlled by the respiratory center located in the blank, brainstem/medulla oblongata and The most potent stimulus to increase respiratory rate and depth is to increase the blood concentration of blank, carbon dioxide. The rate at which a gas diffuses from one area to another is determined by differences in blank in the two areas. Pressure. The pressure of each gas within a mixture of gases is known as its blank, partial pressure. Oxygen is transported to cells by combining with blank, hemoglobin. Oxygen is released in greater amounts as carbon dioxide levels and temperature increase. Carbon monoxide interferes with oxygen transport by binding to blank, hemoglobin. How is the largest amount of carbon dioxide transported? As bicarbonate ions. What is the function of mucus? Traps microorganisms and dust. When bacteria, etc. get caught in mucus, what actually kills them? Gastric juice. In which bones of the skull are sinuses found? Maxillary, frontal, ethmoid, and sphenoid bone. What changes the pitch of your voice? The volume? Pitch is related to the tension on vocal cords. Volume is related to the force of the air. Of what tissue are the alveoli made? Why is this tissue beneficial in this location? Simple squamous epithelium. The diffusion of gases. What is the force that causes air to move into the lungs? Why does air move into the lungs? Atmospheric pressure. Lower pressure inside. The carotid artery and aortic artery have chemoreceptors that are sensitive to changes in concentration for what? Oxygen. Where are the vocal cords located? In larynx. When would oxyhemoglobin increase the amount of oxygen? Carbon dioxide increases. Which protein is involved in the transport of carbon dioxide by the blood? Carbonic anhydrase. Tidal volume. The amount of air that normally moves in and out during quiet breathing. Inspiratory reserve volume. Additional air that can be inhaled. Expiratory reserve volume. Additional air that can be exhaled. Residual volume. Air that remains in the lungs at all time and is mixed with newly inhaled air. Vital capacity. Maximum amount of air a person can exhale after If CO2 is added to the air breathed through a respirator, what would happen to the patient's rate and depth of breathing? Faster rate and deeper breathing. Larynx. Passageway for air in and out of trachea. Larynx. Pharynx. Upper respiratory tract passageway from nose and mouth for food, air, and liquids. Pharynx. Describe the trachea. A tube line with mucus in front of the neck for flow of air and has incomplete cartilaginous rings. What are the changes that occur in the structure of respiratory tubes as the branches become finer? Epithelial lining changes from pseudostratified and ciliated to cuboidal and simple squamous. What are the changes that occur in the structure of respiratory tubes as the branches become finer? Epithelial lining changes from. How are the left and right sides of the lungs different? Right 3 lobes, left smaller with 2 lobes. Upper respiratory system organs. Vocal cords in larynx, pharynx, sinuses, nose, and nasal cavity. Lower respiratory system organs. Larynx below vocal cords, trachea, bronchus, alveolus, and lungs. Glottis. Helps prevent food and liquid from entering the trachea, located on the top of the larynx, opening between the vocal cords. Epiglottis. Same function as glottis, located above glottis in larynx at the base of the tongue. How does carbon monoxide affect hemoglobin and your body? Combines with hemoglobin and form a stable compound, is toxic because the hemoglobin is no longer available for oxygen transport. In what form is carbon dioxide usually transported through your body? Bicarbonate ions. Visceral pleura. Membrane that covers the surface of the lungs. Parietal pleura. Lines the thoracic cavity. In what part of the brain is the respiratory center located? Medulla oblongata and pons in the brainstem. Define partial pressure. Why is it important to this system? Mixture of gases.